WQAD News 8, this is WQAD This Week.
Good morning, it's Sunday, March 26th. Thank you for joining us for News 8 This Week. I'm John Diaz. The National Weather Service this week released an additional flood outlook to prepare for potential river flooding this year. The Mississippi River remains at above normal risk for flooding, while our smaller rivers remain near normal, but updated flood forecasting did reduce the likelihood of major flooding down to 67%. This week, we sat down with the City of Davenport to discuss their focus in light of these new measures and how they say it's still important to prepare and have a plan.
Joining us now is Laura Berkeley with the City of Davenport. Laura, thanks so much for taking the time this week. I know it's a busy week for you guys over there.
Thank you, John.
We're talking flooding. Before we get into everything that you're working on right now, just want to kind of look back a little bit. There's obviously a lot that we could talk about in regards to the flood in 2019, but is there something that sticks out to you from that event, either when it happened or the recovery efforts that really kind of sticks out in your mind?
I think there's been a couple things that that really stick out in my mind. Largely, we learn a lot with every flood. Mother Nature changes, every flood is different. So we take that opportunity to revise any of our plans. In particular, in 2019, we knew after that we needed to provide more communication. We heard that loud and clear, and we're responding to that piece of it. We evaluated all of our procedures, have updated as necessary, worked with our partners at the Army Corps, and briefed with council as well.
Can you talk about, and I think you were alluding to it a little bit here, but some of the work that you've done over the past 4 years that the city has done to be better prepared?
Following the 2019 flood, we did an evaluation with both the Army Corps as well as the product owner of the HESCO burial product that we use. So we took their feedback and have integrated and implemented those suggestions into our plan. That includes removing a piece of the median on River Drive to give more space for the crews to set up the HESCO barriers. We roughed off the surface, and then we train our crews with the HESCO product training. We had them come in and do a training, and we recorded it, and so we have that in perpetuity to do with our operations crews.
Let's talk a little bit about the latest flood outlook. It came out just a few days ago, and it decreased the likelihood of major flooding from kind of in the 80s to now it's about 67%. Can you tell us is what your reaction to that is? Is that a good thing? Does it change any plans for you, or is it just like it almost makes you feel better prepared?
I don't think it changes anything for the city of Davenport. We know, and we also learned with 2019, you take flooding on a day-by-day basis. A lot can change it related to any kind of storms that come through while we're flooded. So we will continue to monitor it. We're not relaxing any of our monitoring as part of that. It does make us feel good. We hope that that's true, but we also know that circumstances change that we can't have control over. So we're fully prepared to be flexible in what we need to do.
Can you talk a little bit about the city responsibilities during a potential flood and an individual property owner's responsibility? Because this is where we get into really what folks need to know. What should they be aware of that they need to take care of, and what should they be expecting the city to take care of?
The city's responsibility is to protect infrastructure and city assets. So we do that piece of it, and then we provide communication based off of what that means for the residents and commuters through the city of Davenport. What an individual property owner needs to do is know what their flood risk is. So after the 2019 flood, we did have survey crews go out on the Mississippi River watershed and survey where their first floor elevations are in relationship to the ground elevations, and we can compare that information to water levels. So if you want to know when water is likely to start coming into your property, give us a call and we can talk through that with you. We also can provide sandbags, and we can coordinate with people who have their own private flood barriers that need to be put up. If they need to be put up in a street, that does need to be coordinated with the city in advance. We can provide sand for those, and we can help them tear down when the time comes to tear down those private barriers. We can also help collect debris, especially for residential property owners that already get solid waste collection with the city. So if an event was large, like in 2019, and we needed to coordinate an additional cleanup and debris cleanup, we would discuss that with City Council and provide additional information.
Let's talk. I think you alluded to some elements of, things property owners can do, things that they can plan for. Are there some other highlights in terms of elements to a plan that folks should be, thinking about, not just for this year, but just for every year moving forward if they're living along the Mississippi River?
We can definitely talk through ways property owners can help reduce their flood risks and mitigate those. In an immediate need, if you have things that might be of value to you, whether that be in your basement or first floor, depending on where you are in the floodplain, go ahead and start moving that stuff so you don't have that stress when it's coming on right away. Know what your flood insurance policy is. For those who don't know, an average homeowner's insurance policy or any kind of property insurance policy does not have automatic coverage for flood insurance. That is a separate policy that you would have to put in place. Generally, there's a 30-day grace period that before it becomes effective. So you may talk to an insurance agent, see if you want to try to get flood insurance before the flood, see what you can do about it. Also review what your policy covers. So just like property insurance, they have different levels for structures versus contents. So you would really need to take a look and make sure that you have the adequate coverage for what you think you need. In addition, know if you have risk of your electrical panels flooding or your furnace or your water heater. Take note of where some of those big basic items are, and those are what you want to protect the most.
As they are thinking about potentially moving items or watching some of their own kind of personal infrastructure, when do they know how to implement a plan that they've developed? When do they kind of pull that trigger?
The information that we provide, if they sign up for Iowa Alerts, there's a link on our website. If you go to beprepareddavenport.com, we do have alerts, and it's not just for flood. There are other alerts for snow routes and things like that you can sign up for as well. That as on a day-by-day basis, as the flood comes through, we will provide additional updates that will provide information on some sandbags and other sand that we can either provide or deliver as necessary. Once you know where your flood risk is, if you have any questions on what it actually means, you can call us and we can talk through when they might need to start putting some implementation into place. So we can talk through that with you so that you understand at what flood stage you might be impacted. We do have maps online too that correlate to flood stages and where the inundation areas are. So definitely take a look at those tools, and we can talk through if you have additional questions for your individual property, what that looks like for you.
And then last question, what should the general kind of reasonable and smart way to react to this be, almost in an emotional sense? Should there be worry, or should there just be diligence to prepare and sort of attentiveness to this as the season kind of goes on?
I think be diligent. I think take it seriously. Be prepared. Try not to wait till the last minute. make sure that you stay informed because things change on a day-by-day basis.
All right, Laura Berkeley with the City of Davenport. Thanks so much for taking the time this week.
Thank you, John.